what does it mean to hold men accountable? This is what I think, because I'm on the social webs a lot, and so I'm looking at all aspects of situations. I'm gonna tell you what it's not. Holding men accountable is not just aimlessly bashing men and showing examples of things that men do and say online or in reality and say, this is what women mean. This is what women mean. The good guys, we know what women mean when they say that they get abused. We know what women mean when they say that there are guys that are out there to hurt them. We understand that. We're not denying that. What we're trying to do when you hold men accountable, you have to be willing to have honest conversations. Part of accountability is also listening, because accountability means that you want someone to give an account for their actions. You want them to assume responsibility for their actions, but you're asking them to give an account for their actions. When they give an account for their actions, they're going to tell you what triggered them, what led down that road. And you have to listen. If you don't listen to what they're telling you, you're not going to solve any issues. If you just want that person to accept responsibility for what they did without you acknowledging what led them there, it's not going to help anybody. Why? Because let's just say if there's a woman involved and she exhibited certain behaviors and did certain things that triggered this man or made him feel a way, we can disagree with how he reacted. We can disagree with how he reacted. I told you there's no such thing as an overreaction. There's reactions. We can say it's right, it's wrong, whatever. He reacted. Okay. If we do not discover the role that she played in this issue, we're not helping him. We're not going to help her. Why? Because there are going to be other women out there like her and other men out there like him. And when the two opposing forces collide, there's going to be an issue. We have to be able to have honest conversations on both sides. We have to be able to look at women and say, hey, I'm not blaming you. I'm not saying you are solely responsible or at fault for what happened, but I will let you know the role that you played in it, because you need to be accountable for your actions. True accountability means holding everyone responsible and making them accountable for whatever role that they played in a situation. It is not to look at one person and say, hey, this is all on you. Okay. Look at it this way. If I was to start a business and I invested 90% into the business and you invested 10% in the business, and then the business blows up, you would want your 10% share. You're not going to look at the situation and say, well, I only invested 10%, therefore he should take 100% of the proceeds. Same with a lottery ticket. If you paid for 10% of a lottery ticket and I paid for 90%, and then I hit a jackpot and it's, 500 million, you're not going to look at the situation and say, well, I only paid for 10% of the lottery ticket, therefore he should take all of the earnings because he paid the lion's share. You're going to say, I want my 10% of those 500 million. The thing is, a lot of people want their share in the profits, but not in the losses. And that's not how life works. So when you look at the situation, why don't you want your share of responsibility in the situation? Not saying that you are responsible for the outcome of it, but why don't you want your share of what happened? I'm going to assign responsibility to you, whether it's 10%, 15%, 20%, 30%. A lot of times what we like to do in situations is whoever is on the worst end of the outcome of the situation, in our opinion, we try to exonerate them from their actions, because that feels like blaming. That feels like shaming. No, that's not what that is. So we have to have honest conversations. We have to have honest conversations and say, hey, my brother, talk to me. But every man is different. This man's situation the end result may be the same in all of these men's situation, but the path that led them there is different. And so you have to talk to every last man and say, hey, what was your issue? What happened? If it's something that happened in childhood, okay, let's talk about it. But if it's something that happened in relationships, let's talk about it. It might not even be this particular woman. It might be the accumulation of things that women have done to this man over time. Just like with a woman. Some women, when they become unhinged or depressed or they snap, it might not necessarily be what that particular man did, but whatever he did might have been the last straw in a string of things that men have done to her. So we have to have conversations with men and let them know, hey, you might not feel the brunt of the force. You might not feel the weight or the gravity of what you did to someone. You might not suffer the consequences, but somewhere down the line, what you did, another man is going to feel, because if you did it and he did it and he did it, it's adding up to this woman. The same thing is true with men. This woman, when they use and abuse and manipulate men, You might not feel the consequences of it, but somewhere down the line, another woman might, because we all are responsible for treating each other with dignity and respect. Men and women locked in, yin and yang. It's like day and night. It's a cycle. We feed one another. So you can't hold one side accountable without holding the other side accountable. You cannot sympathize with one side without sympathizing the other side. I can sympathize with a man and how he feels and what triggered him without condoning his actions. I can say I understand why you feel that way, and then say, but you should have responded differently. That's where you teach emotional regulation, emotional intelligence. But men and women have to have that. I cannot expect a man to have emotional intelligence, but let a woman be emotionally negligent, and vice versa, because that's how it goes. So what you have is a bunch of men that get online and they oversympathize women because of their own misogynistic past, because in their past, they were the aggressors, the abusers, the manipulators. They don't know what it's like to be a good man to a woman. So they don't understand the plights of good men or men that have been good men and saying, hey, I went through this. Hey, I went through that. Hey, I went through a situation where I was not proud of my actions, but this is dot, 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 dot. They don't know that because they have always been on the other side. They've, like I said, they've been the users and abusers. So they don't understand when these men come forward and say, hey, man, I want you to listen. I want you to understand. They look at it as being dismissive. And the first thing they're going to say is, oh, you just want to blame women. You know, I'm not blaming women. Telling her what she did in a situation, whether you view it as right or wrong, that's a perceptual judgment. I'm going to tell you what your actions were that triggered. There are actions and reactions. Just like she has actions and reactions. It's funny that every time a woman does something, whether she snaps and kills a man or hurts a man or she cheats or whatever she feels, we always give her the benefit of the doubt that she's responding to something. We give women excuses before they can even open their mouths. And with men, we take the reasoning from them before we even let them open their mouths. We don't even let them talk. Oh, you a man, you wrong, be accountable, case closed. That's how a lot of innocent men end up in jail, because they go to the courts, they go to the systems, and people don't want to listen to them. They just want you to say, hey, I'm a man, I did it, I accept my sentence. But what if there was a reason behind what you did? And then if they listen to your reasoning and actually go through the real evidence, they'll say, wait a minute, you were actually the victim here. Wait a minute. Now we're looking at the evidence. There's nothing that actually ties you to this. Now that we gave you a chance to speak. But see, a lot of people online, especially these men, these soft men, they want to hold court that does not allow the defendant to speak and does not allow cross-examination. They want the woman to take the stand, tell her side, the judge bang the gavel, say, hey, you're going to jail, pay this person, case closed. That's not how life works. We're not being reasonable. We're not being logical. We look at these situations every time. Read the room. There's a lot of men masking online like they understand women, but behind closed doors, they're using women. They're using this as a tactic to get close to women because they present themselves as the all understanding, you know, I'm a man's man or a woman's man, however you want to phrase it. But a lot of these guys underneath, you will not see them in relationships. You will not see these guys married because they do not want to put themselves in a position to possibly have to face the realization that they're not who they think they are. See, if I don't enter a relationship and if I don't get married, then technically I can't be a bad man in a relationship. I can't, you know, do wrong. I can't make certain mistakes. But then you have to question and say, okay, well, why do you have so much to say about men in relationships and how men should conduct themselves with women if you're not actively trying to be with a woman or settle down or whatever else? Not saying you got to get married. Men have beliefs about other men breaking homes. You're not even trying to build one. You got beliefs and opinions about other men and how they should operate in their household. What household are you leading? See, you have quietly admitted that you cannot lead a household. You have quietly admitted that you do not have what it takes to lead a woman. That's why you're not trying to be with a woman. That's why you're not trying to lead a household. You are quietly admitting, I'm not really the man that I'm projecting online or calling other men to be. This is like a person that shadow boxes but won't get in the ring. Because when you're in a relationship, you're going to take some hits. You got to roll with the punches. That's man or woman. As a man, have I failed in relationships? I have failed in some ways. I have made my mistakes. And I know what it's like when women have failed me. And I get right back out there and I date. I find a nice woman. Okay, let's try to move forward. Because that's important to me. I didn't want to be out there trying to wing it and just being forever single and all this other stuff. I didn't want it. It's in the family unit, whatever. It's important to me. So I'm going to take my hits. I'm going to go back, recalibrate, try to learn my lessons. I jump back out there. Okay, I'm ready. That's what a real man does. A real fighter is willing to take the hits. You don't become the boxing champion. There's not a boxer that has ever existed in this world that has won anything or competed in any aspect that has not taken a punch. The only way you cannot take a punch in boxing is if you do not get in the ring and face an opponent. If you shadow box, you're used to boxing in the mirror. Of course, you're the champion of yourself because you're fighting the mirror. Get out there and get in the ring with somebody. Take those punches and know what you're really made out of. I can tell you what I'm made out of because I've been in relationships and I've taken the punches. And I've had to recoup and recalibrate and pick myself up, dust myself off, figure out what I did wrong. If it was a bad response, now there are certain things in relationships I have not done. But if it was a bad response, I say, okay, I acknowledge that. I'm a grown man. I can tell you, if you talk to me, where I made my mistakes and where I felt like I went wrong. I will tell you that. My wife and I, we talk all the time. We talk all the time about this stuff. You know, that's part of the healing process and the growth process. Being able to come to the table and have difficult conversations with the person that you're with and acknowledge certain things. I might not acknowledge it in the moment, but when I go back and I sit and I think, I say, man, she was right. Okay. But I'm willing to do that. So you got guys out there that's not willing to do that, but they're trying to tell men what they should be for women. You go be it. You go do it. Show us. Lead by example. Show us the woman that you are leading. Show us the woman that you are treating right. Show us the woman that you are giving the world to. Show us the woman that you can roll with the punches with when she get on your nerves, when she say stuff, does things intentionally to get up under your skin, and how you responded. Show us how you responded. Show us. I can tell you how I responded. I can walk through the steps. I can tell you how I responded at work when people came at me a certain way. I can tell you how I responded at home when I'm being in certain situations. I can tell you how I responded throughout my life. And then I can show you what I'm doing now with my wife. Every day is not a good day. I'm not even going to sit here and try to look at it through rose-colored glasses. Every day is not a good day. But you keep working. You keep chipping. To this day, I'm human. Tomorrow, she might say something or do something that irritates me. And I might not respond in the best manner. I might not speak the way I feel like I should speak. Depending on what you went through in that day, the week, the month, the year, that's going to happen. That is going to happen. But as a man, if my wife says something to me and she irritates me and I speak out of turn, or if I say something that I feel like, if I spoke in a manner that I feel like I shouldn't have spoke, I will go back and say, hey, I apologize for that. Hey, you know what? I shouldn't have done that. I got to be better. I got to be better. That's all you can do as a man. Say, hey, I got to be better. I got to be better. And likewise, she might say, okay, well, you know, I shouldn't have done this. And that doesn't mean that you have to have these violent arguments and fussing and back and forth. You got to choke each other and whatever. It could be something simple. Somebody rub you the wrong way and you just don't feel like hearing. You say, hey man, shut up talking to me. And you go back, you say, hey, that wasn't right. Being a leader does not mean that you always make the right steps. It doesn't mean that you always make the right moves. It means that when you make the wrong moves, you take accountability for it, you acknowledge it, and you try to correct it. It means that you try to put a heavy focus on making more right moves than wrong moves. It means that you put a bigger focus on making more right moves than wrong moves, but it doesn't mean you don't make wrong moves. Plenty of teams win championships without having a perfect season, might not even have a perfect game. They just made more good plays than bad plays. That's it. And that's all you can ask for. As a man, that's all I can ask for. You know, as a leader, that's what you're supposed to do. It's not about being perfect. None of us will ever attain perfection. The perfect people are the people that are not in that situation. The perfect boxer is the shadow boxer that will never fight anybody. They're forever victorious, never made any mistakes. So these people, these are the people I'm warning you against. When you see these men online, I'm telling you, a lot of those men, secretly, they're still away. They don't trust themselves. That's why they won't enter a relationship. That's why they cannot leave the household, because they do not trust themselves. Like I said, they do not want to be put in position to figure out, oh, I haven't grown at all. I thought I had grown, but no, I was just avoiding the situation. It's like being incarcerated. A lot of people, while incarcerated, are rehabilitated. You will know when you are rehabilitated, when you go back in the real world and you start facing those same situations and circumstances that led you to do the things that put you in jail in the first place. That's when you will find out if you are rehabilitated. You find out if you are changed by putting yourself in those same environments and situations. I can tell you if I'm a changed man in a relationship, once I get back in a relationship and I start going through certain things and it triggers certain emotions and traumas within me, and then I corrected my behavior and I say, in the past I did this, but now I did that. I'm climbing, I'm learning. If you are a person that will not be in relationships, will not date, will not marry, you're not trying to build a home with anyone outside of yourself, you don't get to sit back like Mr. or Mrs. Perfect. You don't get to sit back and judge the people that are still actively out there fighting. The men, whether they respond good or bad, it happens. But that's a man that's out there fighting. You can only respond bad if you put yourself in a situation to have something to respond to. Some of y'all men are only safe to women because you just stopped dating. You just stopped being in relationships. That's the only reason that you're safe. That's the only reason that women are safe around you. Because you're not putting yourself in those situations. So let's stop lying to ourselves. Let's stop acting like we got it all figured out. Me and my brothers, all my brothers married, we sit down and we talk all the time. And if I do something wrong, I say, hey, bro, I need to talk to you. And he'll let me know as a man, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. And vice versa. That's what brotherhood is about. That's what holding people accountable is about. True accountability. It's not sitting back pointing fingers. But then he's going to listen to me. I'm going to tell him what I was feeling. And then when I listen to him, he's going to tell me what he was feeling. He's going to tell me what his wife did. And I'm looking at it. I said, okay, I understand. And we're very honest people. We're not going to sugarcoat nothing. But I'm willing to have that same conversation, in the presence of my wife. But we're going to talk. Get to the bottom. When I meet young men, because I've seen a lot. I've been a man in situations where I've had to help men navigate through difficult parts of their lives. I remember when my daughter's mom and I were together and she got pregnant, her friend asked for the pregnancy test so that she could trick the guy that she was dealing with into thinking she was pregnant so she can get money for an abortion. And my daughter's mom, she was going to give it to her. I took it and ripped it up. Now, in those situations, I've been able to sit back and watch women plot on men and watch the things that women do. I'm a man that have been in situations with women that were domestically violent, that could not control their tempers, could not control their mouths. And I've been around women when they've talked to their men a certain way and acted a certain way. And I'm looking at the attitude. We live in a society where we watch women get online and brag about being a headache. I'm a whole problem. I'm crazy. I want to be somebody's son, headache. I'm bipolar. They will get online and talk about all this stuff, but yet when they enter relationships with a man, and he has a bad response to their admitted bad behavior, now we want to crucify him without crucifying her. No, it doesn't work like that. We sit around and watch women interact on social media with one another and all these reality shows. All they do is fight, argue, run around. And then these women are in relationships with men. You're watching the worst of these women. And you got women that follow these women. Because we're not asking what type of women are these. And you have to ask those questions. That's not a sign and blame. I need to know. I need to know. If you want me to sympathize with you in a situation where someone wronged you or you felt wrong, I need to know, what did you do? I'm not blaming you, but I need to know, what did you do? What was your part? What were your actions? Because then I can help correct it. I can hold this person accountable, but I got to hold you accountable. I got to let you know what you did wrong. I got to let you know where you misstepped at. We're not going to call it wrong. You might not feel that way. I'm going to let you know what you did that did not help the situation. That's what an honest conversation is. And if you don't want to hear that, then you want one-sided accountability, and I don't do one-sided accountability. I don't believe in that. If they say it takes two to tango, okay. I need to know, what were your steps in this dance? I don't want to just talk about your partner. What were your steps in this dance? You understand what I'm saying? Everything. I played sports. When a play broke down, everybody had to be responsible for their role in that play. Now, if you are the safety, you might have the biggest responsibility in that situation because you're the safety. You're the last line of defense. You cannot afford to miss a tackle or blow an assignment. But you also have to look at, so you're going to hold the bigger part of the responsibility. That might be true. But you look at all the things that led to that play getting to the safety, whether it was defensive linemen couldn't get off the blocks, linebackers missed assignment, missed the tackle. There are other little things, miscommunications. There are things at play that you have to recognize, and you have to fix all of those things. I'm going to hold the safety responsible because ultimately you missed the tackle that led to the touchdown. Cool. But I got to hold everybody else accountable. Hey, why did you miss this? It should have never even got to him. That's how you break down film. Everybody's responsible for the role that they played in the situation, for the breakdowns, the bad plays. Everybody assumes responsibility for their part. Nobody is solely taking blame and say, hey, I lost the game. And that's what it sounds like to women a lot of times when you ask them to take accountability and be responsible for the role they played in something. It sounds a lot like, we lost the game because of you. That's not what it is. That's not what it is. And stop looking at it that way. So when we can have those honest conversations and we look at these women, then we might be able to progress. We have to look at the men, no doubt about it. We got to hold men accountable. I got to tell this brother, hey, you should not have done that. You got to be stronger as a man. But I also got to talk to this woman and say, hey, you can't talk to that man like that. You can't push his button. In supervision, I worked with women. I worked with women at the plant where I was. Didn't listen, argued, hard-headed. And I would sit there and think like, man, you got a husband? You got a boyfriend? Argumentative, combative. I had women getting in my face. I just look at them like, come on now. And I'm thinking, you take that home. But now if I was to see their man on the news, or if other people were to see their man on the news because he hit them or XYZ, everybody's going to be jumping on him. I say, okay, jump on him. Fine. He had a reaction that you consider too much or bad or whatever else. Fine. Jump on him for that. But now you got to talk to this woman. And when you talk to that man, listen to him. And if he say, man, I didn't this, that, and the third, and I was frustrated and she did this, he's not blaming her. He's telling you what she did. So how are we going to listen to her side of it? We don't listen to his side. They say there are three sides to every story. His, hers, and the truth. Well, too often we accept hers as the truth without trying to listen to his. And that is something that we got to put an end to.
The truth does not require you to like nor accept it. It can be tough and uncomfortable, existing on its own merit, independent of your feelings and residing outside the frameworks of your mind. For some, the truth is freedom, and to others, confinement.